Hi, welcome back to Sarah Lilly Makes. My name is Sarah, and this is my little journaling space here on YouTube where I like to talk about and document and share all the things I have been working on. Today's episode is going to be about all the things I have been working on in the month of March. So if you're interested in what I've been up to this past month, I invite you to grab a project and let's get started. So welcome back. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend with me today, and I so appreciate having you here. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please consider doing so. It would mean so much to me and help my channel grow, and I just like having you here. So thank you for being here today. I intended to get this video out a week ago, which is part of the course for me, and this actually is my second time recording this episode because I recorded yesterday and then I uploaded the files to my computer and I realized audio was just really bad. So I'm hoping that today's episode actually is better, the audio at least. And yeah, let's just say I hope it's better. I have 3 finished objects from March. And I have 3 ongoing whips, active whips that I'm currently working on. And then I have a couple of yarn acquisitions, which I haven't done in a while. I did get some of the Sandnes Garn summer patterns and corresponding yarn to go with those patterns. So I can talk about that at the end. I don't think I'll go into too much detail because I really do want to do a summer knitting plans video in the next couple of weeks or months, and I'll share more detail about what I want to work on with those patterns and yarns, but I will share a little bit about them at the end. I will go in chronological order with my finished objects because that's just how I like to do things. I'm not going to talk about what I'm wearing yet, and I'll stand and share all of that in a second because this is a finished object, what I'm wearing, so I'll get to this second. But the first thing that I finished in March was a pair of Stockinette pants for my youngest. And this is literally Stockinette pants. The pattern is from Sandnes Garn. Just go back a little. The pattern is a free pattern from Sandnes Garn. And this was very straightforward, very easy, very minimalistic. At least I kind of made it minimalistic. I kind of did my own thing. So it is a free pattern, like I said, on their website. I will include in the description box below everything that I talk about, and including the links to the patterns that I talk about and the link to this free pattern if you're interested. It goes from size 2 to 10 years, I believe. And there are a few different variations of the pattern. There is a 3mm needle version, and then there is a 4mm needle version. Then there is a double or 2x2 ribbed pants version on 3 and on 4mm needles as well, I'm pretty sure. But the version that I made for my daughter is the 4mm version with a DK weight yarn. I used Smart, which is a Sandnes Garn superwash yarn, and I used superwash so I could easily wash this for my daughter. And it's a pair of pants, so it needs to be easily washed. So this is, I knitted the size 6. She is 6 years old. She wears size 8. I knitted the size 8, and it fits her with just a little bit of room to grow, which kind of sucks because she won't get to wear it for very, very long, but she will get to wear it for this year, and that should be fine. It was a very quick knit too, so it's not like I won't get to make her another pair. I do have plans to make her more of these or different variations of these, and so she can have them. She loves these. Like, she will wear these all the time. So there, I'll just talk a little bit about the construction. It is, you cast on a certain amount of stitches for whatever size you're making, and then you knit X amount, and then you fold over. I folded over right away, and I seamed down, and I left a little gap where there's a space for me to thread an elastic through and then close it. I did seam or close the hole, and I left this thread available for me to, if I need to go back, or if the elastic comes undone, if I need to go back, change the elastic, or anything like that. So I just left that thread there for me to be able to undo the pants, or the waist, that little hole there. There are short rows knitted at the back. I can't remember what short rows method the pattern recommend. I'm pretty sure it's German short rows. I'm pretty sure that's all Sandnes Garn really uses. But I've made so many pairs of pants like these for my kids when they're little, and I always used a wrap and turn, which I don't like. So it just kind of brought back some nostalgic memories when I was working on these, and I just went ahead and did the German short rows because it's my favorite type of short rows to do. And then you knit the whole body down. So like I said, you do some short rows, you knit down, and then you separate. You do some increases and create, that also creates a tiny bit of a gusset almost. And then you split for the legs, then you knit down one leg, and you go back and you pick up another leg. You do also some decreases on the inside of the legs and creates a bit of a taper. I just did a basic rolled stockinette cast off because I just couldn't be bothered to go the extra mile, I guess, and do a folded hem. I think that is what the pattern had called for, but I couldn't be bothered. And it's just a very quick knit. It's very easy for her to throw on, a good pair of play pants for her. And I don't remember if I said it was pilling a bit, but it is because she's been wearing it a lot. So it's not too hard to take care of because it's a super strong. So I just toss it in the washer and then air dry it. I toss it in the washer with her regular load of laundry and then put it to air dry when it's done. I've already washed it a few times because I finished this almost a month ago and she's been wearing it a ton. So those are the stockinette pants from Sandnes Garn, and I will move on to what I'm wearing. This is my second finished object, and this is the Bea Blouse, which is a pattern from Petite Knit. The Bea Blouse is a pattern that I wanted to knit that I mentioned in my spring knitting plans, and I'm so happy I did it. I did do some modifications, very minimal modifications, and I also did knit a size up because the pattern recommends negative ease. Excuse me. And I don't really care for too much negative ease or even neutral ease too much. I do, especially for a blouse, and this is the Bea Blouse, I like a bit of positive ease. So I'll go back a little bit, talk about the pattern, talk about the construction, and then the yarn, etc., and my modifications. So this is the Bea Blouse. It is slightly cropped, and I'll go into that in a bit. It isn't slightly cropped. It's a good length for me, but according to the pattern length, it is a bit slightly cropped. This is a good length for me, like I said. And the sleeves come to my bracelet, about bracelet length, which I also really like. And yeah, it's not really ballooning, but it's not actually bell by any means. It just has no decreases, although it does look like it's a bell because of how much I've been like just wearing it and pulling the sleeve down. It kind of just gives it a bit of a bell shape after having pulled it down so much. Okay. The pattern is written for a lace, 2 lace weight yarns held together. I believe I used Explore Knits and Fibers Suri Alpaca Lace held double in the colorway It's Good to See Me, Isn't It? From the Wicked collection, which is one of my favorites. I purchased 5 skeins of this yarn in the first period or last year, and I intended to make a blouse with it. I knew I needed a little bit more than 5. I actually do need about like 5.5 to make a completely full length, like a good length fitting on my body garment, but then I'm always left over with half of a ball or even a little bit more than half of a skein of yarn. So I just went with 5, and I told myself I'll be fine with having a just slightly shorter length on the body. And I did use up almost every bit of the yarn. I'm just grab it. This is what is remaining from the 5 skeins that I bought. I am very proud of this. This is an accomplishment in my opinion. Okay, so I'll talk about how I used the yarn and how it's constructed. Actually, let me just talk about the construction a little bit. So you do a very tight cast on for this boat neck. And I'm really glad I did a very tight cast on, because even it's very tight, like it's very stretchy here. So you do the very tight cast on, then you do a couple of short rows to shape the back. It's not that much higher at the back, to be honest, but it does create a little bit of shaping to elevate it a tiny bit. And sometimes I get confused about which is the front and back, so I actually think I need to put a tag for the back for this at some point. But so you do some short row shaping, and then you do some sleeve increases at the top, and then after you do the sleeve increases, you do sleeve and raglan increases, and so it creates a really nice like slope on the body of the shoulders here, which I really like. And also because I said I did a size up, this has some positive ease for me, which I really like. So how I knitted this, I wound up most of the yarn that I had into balls, and then I held 2 strands from 2 separate balls together, and I knitted the yoke, the majority of the yoke, and then I got to just right after joining the entire thing, splitting for the sleeves and then joining the whole thing in the round. And then I ran out of those 2 balls. Then I picked up another 2 balls, and then I knitted half of that into 1 sleeve. Now I could have done 1 ball, but I figured using both balls would give me a little bit more variation in the garment as opposed to just using 1 ball. So I knitted with 2 strands from 2 separate balls on 1 sleeve. Then I was weighing it as I was knitting, and as I was coming close to the end where I figured would be a good length, it was about, I had about 30 grams of each ball left, if my math is mathing. And then I bound off. I did a 2-stitch I-cord bind off. I did no decreases, which the pattern does recommend decreases. And then I used that same 2 balls that I finished this sleeve, and I picked up and I did this sleeve. I did the same thing on this side. I was counting my rounds, so I did about around 100 rounds to get to this length. And then I had very minimal yardage left of those initial 2 balls for the sleeves, and then I continued. I picked up the body, and then the final ball of yarn I had, I used from the inside. I held the yarn together from the inside of the ball and the outside of the ball, and then I finished the body. And it does actually, it might be hard to tell, but you could see there's a bit less purple on the bottom where I used only 1 ball of yarn. But honestly, it really doesn't bother me. I don't mind like variation like that. Variations in the variations. I don't mind. Let's move on from that. Okay. So I really enjoyed knitting this. This was a really fun project. I really like Petite Knit's blouse patterns. I just like blouses in general. And I do like the very wide boat neck. I knit a size large when I normally do a size medium. And I think that's really it for the modifications that I did. And yeah, just bound off in in stockinette at the hem. So I've been wearing this quite a bit. I really like it. It's very easy to wear, easy to throw on, just very casual, and also very cute. I like it a lot. I like the colors. I love this. I'll make it again. I'll definitely make it again. I feel like there's so much you could do with this pattern. Like you could just make it your own. Yeah, and that's it for the Bea blouse. And I have one more finished object, and that is a test knit that I just completed almost a week ago for Cheryl of Coco Amour Knitwear, and I will actually put it on so you can see it on. It's going to be pretty dark, but just to see the color and the details a bit better. This is the Black Forest Sweater test knit for Coco Knitwear that I finished a little while ago. I really love this garment. I just, I'm very, very happy with the overall just finished object of this. This is a top-down construction knit, cable, and texture sweater. Yes, I know it's very dark. I will adjust the lighting again in a bit. This is a top-down cable and texture knit. I knitted this with Atlas and Tynn Silk Mohair from Sandnes Garn. I just love this. I just really loved overall fit and vibe, and I love the cables. I love the texture. It's a great pattern. Okay, now that we are back to regular lighting. This was a test knit. I test knitted the size 3. It is knitted on 5mm needles, and I just love that. Yeah, a good chunky gauge cable sweater is so perfect, and I love this yellow. The yarn colorway that I used, I'm pretty sure, was light yellow from Sandnes Garn. The Atlas is 2001, the colorway number, and the Tynn Silk Mohair is 2101. I used just over 10 balls of this Atlas and close to 5 balls of the Tynn Silk Mohair for this project. It's knitted top down. You work the back panel first, working the charts, doing the cables and the texture, and then you pick up the left front. You work down doing cables and texture. You pick up the right front, work down, join, and then you continue working the body down, or at least the front yoke down. Then you join in the underarms. There are some armhole shaping increases under there, and on that side as well. And then you knit the body down. I picked up the collar after I finished the body. Really love this collar. It's a perfect length for me, actually, and yeah, I just really like this length of the neckband / collar. And then you pick up the sleeves. I love the length of this. I feel like I don't have to tug it very much to be comfortable, and I don't have to it's at a good width that it's not too flowy where it's obstructing my day-to-day life, my movement, which is perfectly fine for the other garments. Sometimes I need certain things for certain days, and that's just, you need something for different occasions, different strokes, different occasions. Yeah, so overall, I really enjoyed making this. It was a very engaging pattern. There's some garter along the inside of the body and as well as the sleeve. And there are also some decreases on the inside of the sleeve, which might be kind of hard to see. But I really like the line that comes along the center where I'm switching from knits to purls and the garter rows. What else can I say about this? This will be released really soon. I think she said by the end of the month, April. And I was really happy to test knit for her. I love test knitting for Cheryl. Her designs are always so fun. I love her pattern writing. Even though I'm one for very concise patterns, I love her pattern writing skills, her pattern writing, and I just love her designs. I will continue testing for her as long as she'll let me. And I think that's it. I really love this color. I am definitely in my pastels season, I suppose, this year. And I'll share that in a little bit more. But yeah, that's, I think, about all I have to say about this project and this garment. It was really fun. It was just a fun knit. Very engaging. And you did have to kind of keep track of where you were just for the cable row. Once you have a rhythm going, it's very easy to just keep going. And I did have to think back a few times or ladder up a few times in the garter because I just got so into the pattern that I kind of forgot what row I was on, and then I did some knits instead of purls, or I did some purls instead of knits, and I had to just ladder up and fix it. But it's no big deal. It's just part of the knitting process. So that is it for my finished objects, and I will go into my works in progress. And like I said, I have 3 works in progress, and they're all spring plans that I mentioned. One of them has been already shared. Actually, let me clip this here. One of them has already been shared on the channel before in my spring knitting plans and previous episodes, I'm sure, I think. But this is the Mina Sweater, which is a Sandnes Garn pattern. I'm going to hold it like this so you don't get, so it shares a little better. Okay, so when I last shared, I had just finished, I'd just gotten to this point of the back panel where this pink stitch marker is. So there are a lot of ends on this, and I need to start weaving them in. I like weaving in as I go. But, so I finished the rest of the back panel, and then I picked up the left, which is seen here. And then you do not pick up the right, because there is a fun button placket along the right shoulder connecting this front to the back. So as of right now, they're not joined. But it's kind of hard to like share and show, but that's okay. I'll do my best. So I have since, once I finished the back, I picked up and I started the front left, excuse me. And then you just cast on stitches on a separate needle, and then you work down, and then you do some neck increases, and then you join. You do some neck increases up to this point, and you cast on stitches, and then you join to the left front. And it's just, it's not as complex as it seems. Like it's really just very straightforward. And I just really love this color. I love this color. I can't wait to have this color. This finished object in this color. I love this color so much that I bought it in another base, but we'll get to that soon. Okay, so this is the Mina Sweater from Sandnes Garn. It is a turtleneck sweater with, like I said, a fun button placket here along the right shoulder. And I do intend to get some really fancy buttons for this. Probably something antique-esque, hopefully, and just to zhuzh it up a little bit. Not that it needs any more zhuzhing up, but I just really like this. This is going to be my primary focus now, and I hope to finish this really soon, and I should, because it is knitted on 5.5 millimeter needles. They have 2 versions of this pattern. They have a Cardigan version, which is knitted on 5 millimeter needles, and then the double Sunday version, which is on 5.5. You do hold a second strand of yarn with this, and I'm holding it with alpaca full thread. So I'm using double Sunday and alpaca full thread in the colorway number 7911, which is mint green. Loving this. Can't wait to finish it. I probably will not get a whole lot of wear out of it, but that's okay because I have this yarn in this color in another yarn. Okay, this is my first whip. I'll also include pictures of here what the final finished object is supposed to look like, so you have an idea of what it's supposed to be. The next whip, sorry, not finished object. Did I say finished object? The next whip that I have is a spring plan, and that is the Lacey Scarf. So, one of my goals for 2026 was to have an accessory a month, and I have already failed. I have done no accessories for March. Yeah, I haven't done any accessories for March. So April's gonna have 2. Oh, April better have 2. This is the Lacey Scarf, which is a pattern from Sandnes Garn, and it's from their pattern booklet 2302, which was their winter to spring collection from 2023. And I love that booklet. I will knit everything in that booklet at some point. Eventually, I will get through it. So this is just a basic triangle scarf, very narrow triangle scarf, and you start with the I-cord at the bottom, you work up, and you're doing some yarn overs and knit two togethers to create this lace here. There's a mistake here that I made. Yes, I couldn't be bothered. I just left it because I just knitted one stitch over an accident. It's no big deal. I'm just really loving this. This is also very almost mindless. I'm just keeping track of what row I'm on and going like that. I feel like once I have the rhythm going, I don't even really need to keep track because I know where I have to do the yarn overs, I know where I have to do the knit two togethers through the back loop, etc., etc. But for the sake of actually getting this done properly, I am kind of keeping track just for sanity, my own sanity. But yeah, this is the Lacey Scarf from Sandnes Garn. This is from their booklet, and they also have this in their cashmere collection, I'm pretty sure. And this is the yarn that I'm using. I'm in my yellow pastel, like I said, my pastel season. And this colorway, that's okay. And this colorway is lemonade. My third whip, I apologize, I'm like feeling sneezy. My third whip is also something from my spring knitting plans, and it is the April cardigan. So I will share what I have so far, and then I will share a few minor gripe, or a minor gripe that I have with this pattern. Not that it's really anything, but this is what I have thus far. I am knitting this with Explore Knits and Fibers, cashmere cavern sock, and Suri alpaca lace in the colorway Dreamsicle. I love this color. I'm literally in my pastel era. Okay, so I cast this on the 4th or the 3rd. I wanted to cast this on the 1st. April cardigan, cast it on the 1st, finish it before the end of April, you know. But I ended up just casting this on a little bit later because this past week was just a little bit hectic. So you cast on, and then you are creating a saddle shoulder by doing increases to shape the shoulder. You're doing increases on the right side and the wrong side of the fabric. So Petite Knit, her make one purl increases are incorrect in the pattern. And this is my gripe. The way the pattern is written and the way her instructions are written is correct per the pattern. But if you were to look at other make one purl increases, or the regular make one purl increases, how it's written, the way she wrote it is incorrect. And I did some shallow diving, not deep diving, and I looked up a couple of her other more recent patterns where she has make one purl to create saddle shoulders, and it is indeed, she has changed it. So I think this was one of her older patterns, the April cardigan. It's at least 5 years old, I'm pretty sure. And there are almost 4,000 projects on Ravelry. And so like 3,500 or something like that. And I actually went through like many of the pages to see if anybody else picked up on this. And I couldn't find another person who brought this up until I did a search on the April cardigan project page. I did make one right purl, and there are 6 other complaints that this was wrong. Out of 3,500 projects, there were 6 other people that brought this up as well. So she has it written incorrectly in the pattern. I'll just leave it as that. But if you follow the pattern instructions, how she instructs you to do it within the pattern, you just follow the pattern and you make it correct. You'll do it correctly. However, if you are like me, who I don't really follow the instructions for let me give you an example. For the shoulder increases, the right side, you knit the right side how you're supposed to knit it. Then the wrong side, you pull to marker, you make one right. Slip marker, purl across, make one left. if I was not reading this, I would have been making a make one left. If I weren't reading the pattern, because instinctually I know when I'm doing increases on the wrong side, I know which side I'm supposed to be doing it on. Just from that repetitive motion of doing this instruction. I make one right on the right side. I make one left on the left side, on the right side of the fabric, and then on the wrong side, I switch that. I make one left on the right side and make one. Anyway, I'm making a mountain of a molehill. She has it. It's correct if you follow her instructions there, but how she instructs you to do it is not necessarily correct. If that makes any sense. I think I'm just making a big deal out of nothing. I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. But I did end up making a mistake because I was following the pattern, which she said make one right, but I wasn't following her instructions on what her instructions for make one right was, which was from the wrong side, insert the left needle under the strand that runs between 2 stitches from front to back. How I make one right on the wrong side, I lift it from the back to the front, which is how it's normally done anyway. So I was following the written instructions, not her key or her glossary for the instruction, because I was just following the instructions written in the pattern. And so I ended up messing up the first wrong side row. And then I was like, no, this isn't right. I'm doing something wrong. So I went back and I looked at her glossary of the make one right purl, make one left purl, and I caught that there, that it's written differently. And then I looked at her IVT, and her IVT make one purls are updated. So the April cardigan, I haven't looked at her other older patterns too that she has make one purl increases. Anyway, I am just making a mountain out of a molehill unnecessarily, but I just wanted to bring that up, that I kind of made a mistake there, and I will continue knitting it how I know to knit on my purls, my increases on my purls. Anyway, I do want to do a double knit button band on this as well. I have the champagne cardigan pattern, which I love, so I'm going to follow the instructions. I've done quite a few double knit button bands over the years. And I love a good double knit button band. So I am planning on doing that with this project. I'm just like, all these colors on my table are just making me so happy, and I will show you in a second, because they're just so springy and so uplifting, and I just feel like okay. All right, I'm going to talk about my yarn acquisitions now, and like I said, they are the Sandnes Garn summer collection patterns. I will not go into full detail because I do want to do a summer planning video at some point in the next couple of months. They recently released a bunch of summer patterns, right? And obviously, if you know me, if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm going to want to knit all of them. Obviously, I won't be able to knit all of them, but I went ahead and got a couple of the patterns and the corresponding yarns because, yes, I had to. All right, let me just hold this yarn bundle up because it is making me so happy. Bless you. Okay, so this is just like, this is me 2026. Like, these are my colors. I've knitted a few pinks like that, the Bea Blouse, and then I did a cardigan earlier this year that was also pink. Yeah, so this is me enjoying my pastel colors this year. I'll talk briefly about each of the patterns. Not really, I'll just mention them and share a picture of them. And then not even share the yarn that I purchased for each of them, because that's another episode, essentially. All right, where are my patterns? Let's look them up. So I got these 5 colors, and I also have other lino yarns to make other things, but that's another day, another time. I would really love to knit the Adlin singlet. Like this, I am 100% making this pattern. It's a gorgeous, oh my gosh, gorgeous tank top pattern. And there's also a child version, and I don't know that I can do both, but I'm definitely wanting to knit the adult version for myself. And then there's this gorgeous lace, all over lace tee, the LOD tee. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And then the other tee pattern that I really want to knit is the Elva tee. And the yarn that I'm going to use is probably the yarn in the sample because I love it. And then the Lyra tee, because I have to make a long sleeve, Lyra sweater, sorry. I have to make a long sleeve Lena garment every year. That's kind of been my, what's the word I'm looking for? That's kind of been a tradition. Yes, so that will be my 3rd long sleeve summer shirt. And then I considered the Rosalind dress. I have knitted a dress similar to this. The only difference really is the crochet scallop edges at the neck and the armhole and the bottom. But honestly, like it's just gorgeous. I feel like it's almost the exact same construction though. And I haven't really worn that dress that I made previously with a similar construction. I don't even remember the name of that pattern. What is it? Let me do some research and see what dress I made with that. The mini dress from Sandnes Garn. I haven't really worn that, so I don't know that I will actually make the Rosalind dress. But they also have a pair of pants, and it's cotton linen, viscose linen pants, and I think I really want to knit those. Those are going to take forever. Like, can you imagine? Like, I mean, these are size 8, and I had fun knitting them. It wasn't very long. It didn't take a long time to make them, but I can't imagine how long it's going to take to knit a pair of 3.5 pants, and I don't think I have enough yarn for that. So if I do that, it'll be like stripes or something. I didn't buy yarn to knit a pair of pants. Anyway, I am rambling again, and I apologize. I am going to move on because I think that's it for the episode today. I really had fun working on these projects for March. I will have another update soon. I know this one is a week late, so hopefully I have an update in a week. Don't hold me to that, please. Don't hold me to that. I don't think I can do that. But yeah, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you found some inspiration. If you were knitting and working on something while you were watching, please let me know. I would love to know. As always, happy knitting, and I'll see you next time. Bye.